it may be causing your dog to be accumulating heavy metals over time. What if I told you that? You see, that's what the topic is tonight. And that's what we're going to be getting into. It's all about the type of way that kibble is processed that makes toxins, or even metals for that matter, be accumulated. And as it's being fed to your dog over time, it accumulates, and then your dog starts breaking down. Here tonight with me, let me bring in my host with the most to help me with this topic is Money Mike. What's going on, Money Mike?
Man, I'm loving this long daylight. It's still daylight here, man. That's crazy. We hadn't done that in a while. I'm excited about this topic. This is I agree 100% with what you already said, that kibble is the biggest enemy. It's there's so many things that are taking us in the wrong direction just right there.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And let me tell you, all right. A lot of times people don't even realize, but the kibble that they've been buying, because of the way that it's processed, it's got arsenic, lead, cadmium, mercury in it, right? And the companies that are putting this stuff in there, they're definitely never going to tell you this through the label. So what we're going to do is we're going to run 3 very popular dog foods through the kibble analyzer tonight. And I'm going to show you, actually, the kibble analyzer is going to show you if there's something in there. And if it is, it's going to break it down for us, right?
Well, Raul, tell people that don't know how they can get the kibble analyzer that you created over there.
Yeah, you can go to Kibble Analyzer just like that, kibbleanalyzer.app, right? Kibbleanalyzer.app. In fact, let me type it up here real quick on a banner for those of you that want to get it. Kibbleanalyzer.app. And all you got to do, there you go. All you got to do is go there and you can download it. Downloading it for free. And let me just tell you, it's going to help you make better choices for your dogs, right? So one of the things we need to be getting into tonight, right off the bat, right off the rip, is what are heavy metals? Obviously, I put on here arsenic, lead, cadmium, mercury, right? But a lot of people know that this isn't good, right? Because you shouldn't be eating any one of those things. But in reality, what is it about it, right? So let's get to what heavy metals are. These aren't fringe concerns when we're talking about arsenic, lead, cadmium, or mercury. Consumer Reports, University of Nevada, for example, multiple independent labs in addition, they've all found measurable levels of these metals in commercial pet food. And here's what they actually do to your dog over time, right? So arsenic is a slow killer, guys. It's chronic low-level exposure, right? It's going to hit the liver and the kidneys first. Then they're working overtime trying to filter out this stuff. And over time, you start seeing one of the first symptoms, chronic fatigue. How many of you are walking around with a 3 or 4-year-old dog who you've been feeding the same kibble to, and he or she is showing chronic fatigue? At 3 or 4, I understand they're not going to be as hyper as when they were puppies, but they shouldn't be showing chronic fatigue. GI issues that came out of nowhere. This could be a sign. An immune system breakdown, right? I've had several people hit me up and tell me that they tried everything in the book that I put in my videos and everything, and the yeast keeps coming back. When you come at me like that, then my usual response is you need to take the dog in, right, to get tested, right, for heavy metals. And I will tell you more than 50% of the time when I tell them to go do that and they do it, it comes back as having high levels of something like arsenic or lead or any of the others. In dogs, eating arsenic contaminated food every day, right, the liver takes the damage quietly. I'm going to tell you guys something. By the time you notice something's wrong, it's been building for months. So a lot of times I'll get a lot of people hit me up and saying, what can I put on top of my dog's kibble in order to get them to eat? Because they were eating great for 2 or 3 months, and then out of nowhere, the dog doesn't want to eat it anymore. What do you think that is, Money Mike? Do you think that's biology inside of the dog talking?
It is. I do think it's that. And I think even if they don't know better, then they get sick of it. They get sick of the same flavor. But I think it's probably a little of both, if you ask me.
I think this is just my opinion. I think they do get sick of it, but I don't think it's just a metaphor. I think literally they feel a little sick or something inside of them makes the kibble repugnant over time as these toxins begin to accumulate, right? So let's talk about lead here. Lead goes straight for the nervous system, okay? So in puppies and young dogs, it's especially dangerous because it interferes with brain development, right? Nobody wants to have a dog that, has lagged on brain development. In adult dogs, chronic lead exposure shows up as behavioral changes, right? You have a dog that all of a sudden is fearful of everything out of the blue, full-blown adult, or the other way around, fully aggressive. This is something you might want to check, right? Aggression, anxiety, loss of coordination may be a problem. I had a guy about 2 months ago hit me up and tell me that I believe the word he used was Brockus. I could be wrong. He's from down under in Australia. Anyways, he hit me up. He did the embark. His dog came back negative for anything. Dog was clear, healthy as a horse. However, the dog was having coordination issues, and the vet told him over there that he thought the dog may have some sort of ataxia, right? Which I thought it was kind of weird that Embark wouldn't pick up on that.
Yeah, because they test for it.
Right, because they specifically test for it. That's one of the things that they have a marker 100% down pat for. So long story short, I told the guy to get a metal blood a toxicology report and get heavy metals, right, tested for. He was like, oh, they have different words and stuff. I don't remember, but for some reason the word Brockus keeps popping up. Oh, that's Brockus or whatever. And I told him, I said, look, man, how much are they charging you? If it comes back negative for heavy metals, I'll pay for it, right? Because this guy, he had been rung pretty well by the vets down there. He went ahead and tested, came back positive for heavy metals. Now, the vet didn't tell him to do that. The vet said he thought it was ataxia. And the vet was already 3 steps ahead, pushing different things. So I guess what I'm trying to tell you is either the vet wants to really run up a bill and find the long ways to the solution, or they are, firing shots in the dark to see where they hit on your dime. So it's important that if you see these immediate signs and symptoms, right? Immediate behavioral changes, aggression, anxiety, all of a sudden, loss of coordination out of the blue. If you have a negative embark, meaning there's nothing on there, the dog is clear, it wouldn't hurt to go ahead and get the dog heavy metal tested. It also accumulates in the bones, by the way. We're talking about lead. Your dog's skeleton becomes a storage site. And every time these bones turn over, I don't know if you guys are aware of this, in humans, we turn over every 7 to 10 years. Every cell in your body, for exception of like your brain, that sort of thing. But every other cell in your body pretty much dies and floughs off and gets recycled. There's a new one coming in behind it. And so it's a process that takes 7 to 10 years to happen completely. Well, when you have lead inside of the bone, right, as this process that I'm talking about is happening, the lead is going to be exposed more and more to the bloodstream. And once it's fully exposed to the bloodstream, then you're really going to get some toxic effects, right? And every time those bones turn over, I just told you that leads and gets back into the bloodstream, like I mentioned. Cadmium. Cadmium is this other one, Money Mike. You ever heard of cadmium? I heard of it, but I ain't gonna lie to you. I might have heard of it maybe 5 times if I'm lucky in my lifetime.
Yeah, I was fixing to say, I've heard the word, couldn't tell you what it is.
Okay, well, check this one out, man. Cadmium is one that nobody talks about, right? And it might be one of the sneakiest of them all. And this is why. It targets the kidneys specifically, right? And here's the kicker, right? The kidneys are one of those organs that do not regenerate cells. It's kind of like when you damage brain cells. They don't regenerate. That's why you really need to take care of them. Well, the same goes with the kidneys, right? And once you lose kidney function, it doesn't come back because it can't regenerate. Dogs on high legume. I've made plenty of videos here recently talking about high legume based kibble, not only for DCM, which is dilated cardiomyopathy, but also cadmium, right? Because you got to realize these crops are growing on the ground, and all of these heavy metals are natural forming, meaning these crops, as they grow, they're pulling from the soil, which this is already there, right? And then when it gets processed through, when kibble starts getting processed, that's where these amounts, these heavy metals actually skyrocket in concentration because they're pushing everything through the extruder, which is getting rid of the moisture, right? So you're having to add more of the legumes to get the amount of kibble because you're literally taking out the water, so the volume gets reduced.
I don't understand. I never have really understood, Raul. Like,
yeah,
to me, if you're creating something, right, and you're trying to do it a certain way, and this is the type of result you're getting, that's a fail. That's when I would say, okay, we're gonna have to take this invention another direction because it's failing. I don't understand how it's even legal to do it and to put it out and this be the case. I don't get it, and I don't think anybody else does either. That's probably what everybody's thinking at home. I know that's what I'm thinking. It's like, how do they even do it? How do they put it on the shelves? It's crazy.
Well, let me first of all, before I respond to you, let me respond to Scott McCoy. He said bollocks, and that's correct.
Oh, bollocks. That's what I
which
was
is the
thinking,
equivalent of BS, I would think, right? At least
Yeah.
that's what it sounds like to me. And
Yeah.
in the tone and words he was using, that's pretty much what he was trying to transmit. Now, the thing is that AFCO and the FDA, which I think it's a complete oxymoron. Think about it. Food and Drug Administration. So we get you sick with the food, so we have to give you the drug, right?
Right.
You would think you would want to make sure the food doesn't get you sick, so you never have to get into the drug. Anyways, they do have limits for these toxins, but as you see, and we speak on this longer and longer, you're going to realize there are people out here that are feeding the dogs the same kibble over and over again for however long, especially that cheap kibble. I keep coming back around to that cheap kibble. And tonight, you're about to find out why it is that you want to stay away from that. Cadmium. I said dogs on high legume, high grain kibble are getting cadmium from peas, the lentils, and the brown rice. Peas, lentils, and brown rice are actually absorbing these metals from the ground. Every meal, they're getting fed this. Low-grade kidney disease in dogs is at an all-time high right now, right?
And that's because they use those things as a filler, right?
Yeah, well, yeah.
And to get it to go through the what you call
the
it?
extruder. Yeah, people think it's just aging. It's not always aging, guys. Now, this next one we all have heard of at some point is mercury. Mercury hits the brain and the nervous system, right? In dogs, chronic mercury exposure shows up as tremors, right? And you'll see it every now and then. I actually saw a dog that had mercury poisoning when I volunteered in the shelter about 8 years ago. Loss of coordination, vision problems. So if all of a sudden your dog starts having tremors, loss of coordination again, vision problems, in severe cases, seizures. Excuse me. It also suppresses the immune system from the inside. The source in pet food, I'm going to tell you the source right now. A lot of you, this is why being a sheep will always get you slaughtered, man. Cheap fish meal. So, how many times have I made a video where I'll go and review Kibble, and you have this bag that's telling you, hey, fish, fish, fish. And, you could already see the buyer thinking, oh, wow, my dog's going to be getting a lot of omega-3s and this and that. You turn over the bag, and rather than a whole fish, it's already talking about fish meal, right? You don't know if it's the scale, the skin, the gills. What is it, right? Yeah. And then on top of that, you got to realize that the longer living fish, right? The fish that live the longer they live, the more exposure they have to mercury, okay, in the ocean. So, and I'm just throwing this out there as PSA. For those of you that like to eat fish, try to make sure it's like sardines, if you can. If you're out here, trying to get fish that live 4, 5, 8, 10, 20 years, you might have a problem, right?
Better be freshwater.
Yeah. Better be. So some of the fish you want to stay away from, right? Unspecified fish meal from large, long-lived fish, right? Tuna is one of them, right? Swordfish is the other, right? Those fish bioaccumulate mercury, right? Their entire lives, right?
Raul, how do you feel about mackerel? They have that mackerel in a can that's got high protein and stuff like that. I don't know how it compares. I don't think there's anything that compares to sardines as far as omega-3s, but what do you think about those those little, because they're pretty cheap too, you can get the little individual packs of the mackerel.
The problem you have with mackerel is that they can live between 20 and 26 years, bro.
Wow.
So they're bioaccumulating this as they're eating other fish.
Wow.
And as you bioaccumulate, right, now you eat that, and you're just, you might as well just go get a thermometer, crack it open, and have yourself a drink of mercury. Yeah.
That's ludicrous, man.
It sure is, man. When that fish gets rendered into meal and poured into a 30-pound bag of kibble, that mercury comes with it, bro.
I like what you said about the meal. I think people don't.
They don't realize.
They don't realize what that means. That means that you got the meat of the fish that everybody wants to eat, and then all the other stuff, they got to do something with it. So they grind it up and call it meal, and that's it.
Look, somebody told me, Raul, can you like to make things that are complex into layman's terms? And this is actually a worker at Tractor Supply, Ellie, if you're watching, and they asked me, they said, can you make meal how can you make it simple for me to understand? And I said, okay, hot dogs. You ever seen how hot dogs are processed?
Yeah, it's disgusting.
Right. Hot dog is not meat.
It's meal.
They want you to think it's meat. They're going to put beef, chicken, and pork on there, right? But is it really beef, chicken, and pork?
It's everything.
Or is it more like the leftover hair and a piece of, all the leftovers, basically. And that's essentially what meal is. And unfortunately, that's where you're getting a higher concentration of this stuff. Keep in mind, like I've spoken before, one of the reasons I don't feed organ meats to my animals is because in this country, steroids, growth hormones are pushed into beef liver and chicken, into chicken and beef. Ends up in the liver, and then where else does it end up? Right? That fat layer under the skin. So
Yeah.
think about it. Fish meal. Are they going to give you the flesh of the fish? No. You're probably going to get a lot more scales and tails and fins and gills and
It's
skin.
probably just an excuse to drop it all in there. You know what?
Right.
Eyeballs and everything.
But here's the crazy part, man. Your dog is eating the same bowl every single meal in some cases, man. Every single day, 365 days a year, right? A human with a bad diet can switch it up, right? But your dog doesn't get that choice.
You know,
I'm telling you, I've had people tell me he's been eating it for 2 years and now he doesn't even want to smell it.
Shit.
Well, first of all,
I think there's more than one thing going on there. You know, the other part of it, I know I've experienced with dogs myself, where, you know, they just, not only do they get sick of it, but, you know, they're tired. They're tired. They're sick of the flavor. They're sick of the whole thing. And they just get to where, you know, they don't want nothing to do with it. But the problem with the owners are they try to switch it up. And I don't know what they put in the kibble to do this. It didn't used to be like this when I was young. But if you're on any type of kibble and you try to change it up, sometimes you can even take 2 weeks to make that transition and their stomach still don't want to do it, it seems like. Especially if it's a different brand. It's really hard to switch brands. It can be done, but it shouldn't be that hard on them like it is. It seems to just tear their stomachs up, man.
well, I mean, what it is we've been conditioned to believe that dog food is normal,
That's right.
but it really isn't. In fact, it goes against everything, in my opinion. It goes against a dog's biology. The mere fact that they have to digest a piece of food that's got almost no moisture in it, and the moisture that's going to be used to digest it comes exclusively from the animal, goes completely against what is natural. What is natural for an animal is to catch a prey, eat it, right? And most of the moisture is coming from the animal. I tell you, when my dogs, defecate, in comparison to, when they're eating raw, in comparison to when they're eating kibble, is night and day.
Night and day, man.
That kibble sucks the water right out of them like a sponge, man.
Yeah. Not only that, but whenever I have my dogs on raw, they don't hardly drink much water. Now, if it's hot and they're out there playing with a flirt pole and really getting down, they might lap some up pretty good. But like just lounging around the house and then they eat or whatever, like in a day's time, they might drink a cup or two of water and got all the water they want. They got water down all day, but they just go over and take a little lick to wet their mouth. They don't really drink. They don't consume a whole lot of water.
They don't need it as much in order to digest because the water's already there.
100%.
Yeah. So look, let me just go over this real quick. The rendering process, right? Low quality meat meals cooked at extremely high heat. I've already told you guys this. Concentrating contaminants that were already in the source material, right? They got to cook it at high temperatures because they have to get rid of as much moisture as they can so the bag can last on the shelf. Grain and legume sourcing. Rice, peas, lentils absorb heavy metals directly from the soil. I already told you this. The plant doesn't filter it out. It pulls it up, right? Fish meal. Cheap, unspecified fish meal is one of the highest sources of mercury and arsenic in pet food. Big fish, long life, massive bioaccumulation. So I'll give you an example off the top of my head. Wholesome's white fish meal. When you flip that bag over, it may have a whole fish. I don't remember right now off the top of my head, but I know fish meal, if it's not the first ingredient, it's the second ingredient. Or third, there's about. my point is, don't just go off of fish meal being the first ingredient. If there's fish meal there, period, you can be actually feeding this directly to your dog, right? Phosphate additives. Here's something we haven't spoken about. Added for palatability, frequently carry cadmium as a natural contaminant in phosphate mining process, right? Why doesn't the FDA stop this, Raul? And Mike was just talking about this a second ago. Now, some of you are, here's the thing. Let me just say this. AFCO and the FDA set acceptable contamination thresholds, right? But here's what they didn't account for. Those limits weren't designed for a dog eating the same food every single meal for the rest of their freaking life. A lot of you will say, oh, Fido's tired of the chicken flavor. Let's go to the beef. But you're keeping the same brand, right? This is why it's important that you're not lazy and you just don't buy based on what the bag is trying to sell you. You actually flip it over and educate yourself a little bit, especially now that, economic times are getting a little bit tougher, right? Gas prices are coming up. Do you really need to take Fido to the vet because he has heavy metal accumulation, right? Do you really want to do that when you could have just switched the dog food to something that wouldn't have meal in it? These are things you want to think about. What does chronic exposure look like, right, to these things? And here's why most people miss it. It doesn't look poisoning, Mike. It doesn't look like the dog is getting poisoned, right? It looks more like aging. That's what it really looks like. It's masking everything. First lethargy, then joint degradation, kidney stress, chronic skin and coat issues. So recently I've been getting hit up because we've been making, yeast infection videos and whatnot. Right. And I'm going to say this right now. If you follow what we've said and you've seen no improvement whatsoever, save yourself the $100 for asking to do a one-on-one consult with me. Do yourself a favor and grab those $100 and get a toxicology for heavy metals done on your dog, right? Here's what's sad. Owners spend years treating symptoms like yeast and itching and even stiffness. And nobody ever takes a look at the bowl. The vet doesn't want to look at the bowl. If he knows it's the bowl, what incentive does he have to make you switch what you're feeding? He's going to keep charging you, right? Especially now through these trying times, especially now that the internet, or not the internet, but social media, right, is reframing that entire industry. You got all these vets now jumping into YouTube, making videos, pointing the fingers at people like me that doesn't have a veterinary license. In reality, I see it more as a benefit. You see, I'm not ruled by that industry whatsoever. They are. They have to go by the books and the studies that industry recognizes. I don't, right? I can definitely read those studies, do my research,
they're bridled
and come down to my own conclusion. But they go out on a limb. They got a license they need to protect. So they need to fall in line with industry standards most of the time. You definitely will have those that stand up and they don't care. I get that. But the great majority, what's happening is they're losing money in their practice because over here in YouTube, everyone, including myself, is exposing them for what they're doing. And so now they're coming over here and they're trying to sweet talk you, showing you a license in order to continue their business model, right? But this is the same guy 6 months ago when you rolled in with Fido that never told you it was food. Told you, oh, it's aging. Oh, we gotta give them Apoquil for yeast. That's what we gotta do. And also when you walk in their office, oh, we are a flea and tick-free environment. Yeah, you know what that means, right? You're about to get charged about $60 to put some sort of chemical on your dog's back, right? So I'm just keeping it real with you. And nobody ever looks at the bull, but tonight we're going to look at the bull.
Let's get
And
in.
here's the crazy part, Mike. The brands spending the most money on marketing are not necessarily the cleanest.
Man, I have learned that in my own trials, man. Just like watching your videos, learning about Kibble, learning about the labels, learning what to look for a long time ago. And I've taken everything off the shelf and flipping it around. And in my mind, I'm thinking like, oh, this is probably a good kibble. I hear good things, blah, blah, blah. Everybody knows the name of this brand. It's kind of expensive, and that doesn't mean nothing. How well known they are, how expensive it is, none of that matters. Now, I'm not saying that there aren't expensive ones that are okay, but I'd say 90%, if not 95% of the bags that are $100 or more are trash, just like the cheap ones.
It's sad, man.
It is.
Let me bring up my Kibble analyzer here real quick.
I love this thing, by the way, man. Every time I go to the store and see a new dog food, I put it in.
So check it out. I have a pedigree adult grilled steak and vegetable flavor for Fido. I made up a Fido that was 56 pounds. And the daily cost is 59 cents, Mike. Right? That's the price you're paying up front, right? You'll be paying at the back end. So check it out. First thing that pops up is giving you an overall score of 50. Recall found. In 2024, 517, potential presence. Make this a little bigger, right? There you go.
That's my birthday.
Oh, that's your birthday, huh? They figured it out on your birthday. Potential presence of loose metal pieces. Look at that. We're talking about heavy metals, and there's just pieces of screws and stuff up in there. But it was a voluntary recall. But if you scroll down a little bit, it's going to tell you heavy metals warning, 5 likely contamination sources. Listen to this.
My God.
And so everything in this app, by the way, is cited. So this is not me talking. This is cited from studies, right? Independent testing, Kim Loftus, Mann, and Wachslag, 2018, Cornell CVM, yada, 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 right? So there you have your source. Rice and rice fractions. Arsenic, classified as a group 1 human carcinogen. Chronic low-dose exposure damages skin. For those of you that are having dogs with skin issues, damages skin, liver, kidneys, and cardiovascular system, and is linked to elevated cancer risk over a lifetime of daily feeding. And there you have it. There's your site. Not only from 2012, but U.S. FDA Center for Veterinary Medicine. So the FDA is aware of this. Ingredient link, it's all there. Organ meats. Now, you remember, Mike, I've been saying for the longest time, I don't feed my dogs, even though I feed raw. I don't feed organ meats, right? I think I've been very consistent on that. I've been called out. Oh, you're just trying to get me to buy NuVet. Listen. Yeah, I'm going to give you my explanation. If you decide not to take it, that's fine. But check it out, right? Just so you know, whenever I make a decision, it's because I have study and research to back it up.
Yeah,
so
that's the reason why you got involved with NuVet in the first place. They've had no recalls, and they have an amazing product.
100% natural. It is cold pressed, made at human food grade level. Enough said. Cadmium, right? Accumulates primarily in the kidneys and liver with biological half-life of 10 plus years, causes progressive kidney dysfunction, bone dysmineralization, and anemia, right? This is not me saying it. This is the US CDC as far back as 2012. I mean, it's there. Lead accumulates in bone and soft tissue over years. I told you about this. Chronic exposure causes neurological decline, GI upset. Those of you that are having dogs with GI upset and there's nothing you can do to fix it, pay attention, because that vet ain't going to tell you to change. He might tell you to buy what he's selling on the shelf, which is probably worse because I've noticed a lot of the times it has rice. It has a lot of these legumes that we're talking about as well. Anemia, kidney damage, and behavioral changes, tremors, lethargy, seizure in severe cases. Merck Veterinary Manual, lead poisoning in animals, all the way back in 2022. Gwaltney Brandt, right? Even the ASPCA jumped up in there. So did Cornell University. Bone meal. A lot of you, right? This is on Pedigree, but a lot of you will see this also in other brands. Bone meal, meat, and bone meal, Mike. Sounds legit, doesn't it? Accumulates in bone and soft tissue over the years. Chronic exposure causes neurological decline, GI upset, anemia, kidney damage, and behavioral changes. Are you not noticing the trend here? Pretty much causing
I
very,
just don't
very
understand
similar.
how it's like I said, I don't understand how they're can even do that. Like how does the FDA determine their
because
guidelines
the
of what's acceptable?
FDA, Mike, everything is a loophole, man. The FDA is allowing it because it is a minimum amount, but we both know the majority of the consumers, uneducated consumers, are just going to feed the same bag.
Yeah,
and then you have old boy over there that, we're going to feed him this $19.99 86-pound bag of cancer, right?
Yeah, they feed the dog eats it, the dog poops. Win-win is all they're thinking.
Listen,
it's more complicated
I get comments,
than that, man.
I get comments all the time on YouTube videos that I drop about Kibble. I've been feeding Pedigree for 12 years and my dog is fine. Okay. First of all, you're not, are you a vet, or are you at least medically inclined, or, because we really don't know who's saying it. Might be somebody that doesn't look very well out of his own eyes, might have cataracts.
The sad thing is how long the breed has been along plays a part in how tolerant it is to just being took down through there.
Man,
some of these older breeds can take a real beating.
Yeah, the higher the koi, the lower the health. So these types of foods, this is why breeds like the English Bulldog are such, owner penalizing breeds, if you will. I love them, but man, they're gonna open up your bank account. I can tell you, when you walk into the vet's office with an English Bulldog, you're telling that vet, come get it. It's yours.
Free for all.
So look, cadmium accumulates primarily in the kidneys. I already spoke on that. My bad. Corn and sorghum, right? How many times do we not see corn and sorghum on there? Accumulates primarily in the kidneys and liver with a biological half-life of 10 years. Causes progressive kidney dysfunction, bone demineralization, and anemia. This kibble's on the watch list, right? Complete nutrition, ground whole grain corn, meat and bone meal, corn gluten meal, soybean meal, chicken byproduct meal. All right, this is what's flagged, right? And then I'm not going to get into the BHA and all that because we spoke on that on a previous episode. Let me switch it up. Oh wait, I do want to show you, the health breakdown. So look what it does to reproduction. And
this is my favorite part about the Kibble analyzer right here.
Yeah. Skin and coat. Look at that. Skin and coat. Is it working for you or is it working against you? Immune health. Look at what it does to heart health.
Well, if you were to have these categories listed in order of importance, all the ones that are in red are a bigger deal than the ones that are even being accounted for in green.
Yeah. Let me analyze here. View past. Let me go to view. Let me go to past. Hold on. I'm gonna have to reduce the size of this here real quick. So let me go to Blue Buffalo, right? For them blue buffalers out here.
I'm glad you did, man. I'm glad we're going here.
We're going to Blue Buffalo.
Everybody likes Blue Buffalo. It's good for the dog. Everybody knows that.
That's right. Blue Buffalo's good for the dog, man. Hold on. Let me Let me throw a little poll out there while we're at it, right?
Yeah, let's get into it.
Give me a 1 if it's you and a no if it's not you, right? So let's talk about this. So Blue Buffalo over here, 315 every time you feed, right? Recall check, it's clear. Look at that, Mike. I have a feeling it's all going to be downhill from here, but
oh yeah,
April 20th, 2026 recall checker is clear. So hey, you got to give them props for that, man. At least their processing plants and whatnot seems to be adequate, more than adequate, actually. This Kibble's on the watch list. This is what the analyzer's saying. Why is it? It is flagged for rice. You got it up
arsenic.
here, not rice. Arsenic. I already spoke on arsenic. Fish, seafood ingredients. Bioaccumulates in the brain, kidneys, and liver. Long-term ingestion leads to neurotoxicity, ataxia, tremors, vision loss, kidney failure, and immune suppression. And we already spoke on arsenic, right? Legumes. You got some cadmium over there. Now, this one surprised me, Mike. I'm not going to lie. Sweet potato. Potato and sweet potato accumulates primarily in kidneys and liver where biological half-life crosses progressive kidney dysfunction, bone demineralization, and anemia. It surprised me.
I wonder if they're doing something with it, man. Like maybe there might be, I don't know.
No, it's pulling it from the ground. It's natural. This stuff is naturally on the soil, Mike.
Yeah.
This stuff is just pulling it up, man. Also lead, health breakdown. Look at this bag. Repro, look what it does.
Lead production, trash. So you wonder why your dogs don't get pregnant.
Yeah. Joint health, it's not doing too well. Skin and coat, it's, man, 3/4 of the way there. Weight management is 100%. Digestion, right? It's got plenty of fiber there, right? So you're paying for some good fiber.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure you're paying a lot more than carrot fiber.
Dude, like I said, all the like, not that eye health isn't important, but I mean, if you were to put those in order of importance, it'd be green at the bottom, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. So let me go through one last one here. Whoa, my bad. Let me move this over. Let me go through one last one here. Wait, didn't mean to reanalyze. My bad. Analyze another kibble, and we said Purina Pro Plan, right? Purina Pro Plan. I've had a bunch of people talking about this one. I've been feeding this and it's doing great. Yeah, no, it's been adjusting your bank account the way you like it. I get it, but to say that your dog's doing great on it, I just wouldn't know. I wouldn't know if I could trust that. Let me see if we have a poll for that one. Yep, we sure do. Let me start it. So if you're feeding Purina, do me a favor. What happened? Okay, my bad. Let me stop that poll there. Let me start this one here. Here you go. If you're feeding, I'm sorry, Pro Plan, not Purina, let me know. Let me know. So let me check it out, Mike. 68. That's pretty good. It's never been recalled. Hey, I'm gonna give you props for that. I'm gonna give you your flowers. But look at that. 4 likely contamination sources. Next up, we got seafood ingredients, right? I'm not gonna reread everything. Rice, arsenic, organ meats, cadmium and lead, right? Corn and sorghum, cadmium. The kibble is on the watch list. Right? Why it's flagged, and it repeats pretty much the same data. So basically, you're getting metals on any fish ingredient, rice, organ meats, corn, and sorghum, if I'm reading it correctly. Right? Then you get into the other red flag ingredients like corn gluten, poultry byproduct, whole grain wheat corn, soybean oil. This one says garlic oil, and I'm going to challenge it. It says contains disulfides, which are potentially toxic to dogs if given. Here is the kicker. For those of you that constantly question why we feed garlic to our dogs. If given in significant amounts.
This is a good example of how easily they use the words written a certain way to cover their ass and manipulate you at the same time.
Yeah, exactly. But look, this is not me saying it. This is UC Davis Medicine saying it. It says, may cause hemolytic anemia. Notice these following words. If used excessively, though likely low risk at ingredient level. I'm not saying it. Likely low risk at ingredient level, right? This over here is saying if given in significant amounts. So you take out of it what you like. I will continue to feed garlic to my dogs. Before you ask, I'll let you know. I feed 1 garlic clove per 100 pounds of dog. So if I have a 50-pound dog, they get half of a garlic clove. If I have a 25-pound dog, they're going to get a quarter of a garlic clove. How soon do I give this to them? As soon as they come off of their mama. I take them off on day 24.
And tell them, go ahead and tell them what you do to the garlic to make sure it's
correct. It's either going to get sliced or crushed. I let it sit for 15 minutes, right? Let there be an air reaction, right? Turning one thing that they're not supposed to be eating to something that they can eat, and you get nothing but benefits. It's really that simple. I'm oversimplified tonight. So you're seeing for your, oh, my bad, Mike. Let me get that off. You're seeing for yourselves from the very get that these metals are going to be found mostly in these cheap or cheaper kibbles, if you will, right? So what you don't pay up front at the cash register, you're going to end up paying later on down. It's really that simple.
My wife and I were discussing this week, how it's really not expensive to just spice it up a little bit. If you can't get off the kibble altogether, like we talked about in the prior episode,
yeah,
an egg and a sardine, man, goes a long way.
Will go a long way. Now, there is a 5-layer. I have a if you want to call it, a QBN heavy metal defense stack.
Oh,
there is a way that you can protect against this. A lot of you already have 2 of the main base ingredients sitting right there in front of you or in your pantry. So let's start here, because this is what I've been running at QBN for years, actually. And I want you to understand the why, right? Not just because I trust it, but because when you look at the actual ingredient label, it was already ahead of the conversation. You already know where I'm headed. Before heavy metals were even a topic people were talking about, and trust you me, this topic is going to start getting talked about more and more. One of the ingredients that is in Nuvet and NuJoint DS, by the way, let me go ahead and pop it up here, right? This is why everyone that's using Nuvet NuJoint DS, they're like, oh my God, this is a miracle. No, it's not a miracle. It's scientific, actually. First ingredient, blue-green algae. I've had people hit me up telling me, I went into Google there, Raul, and it says that blue-green algae is toxic for dogs. Another one. Yeah, of course, man. You go running or walking with your dog and there's a lake full of blue-green algae. You just don't let your dog jump in there and eat it. But if it gets processed correctly and your dog gets the right amounts, there's a benefit to it. It's like anything else in life, man.
Mm-hmm.
It's like anything else in life, right? You have a headache, you take a Tylenol or 2, right? Because that's what's indicated in the bottle. You take the whole bottle and you're about to live about 72 hours before you die, because you're gonna fry your liver, right?
Yep.
The same goes true with every and anything else. So blue-green algae is the same family as something called chlorella, okay, which is another algae. It's one of the most researched natural chelating agents on the planet. All right. Already in the bottle, in the NuVet bottle. L-methionine. NuVet's own literature describes this as helping to detoxify harmful agents, listen, such as lead and other heavy metals. This is in NuVet literature. We know we live in a country, Mike, where you come out here speaking nonsense and you're going to get sued out your yin yang, right? Well, they're putting it out there because methionine does exactly this, and it's 100% natural ingredient inside of NuVet, and that's a literal chelating amino acid. Okay, it's right there on the label. The next thing that's already there is selenium. Please, those of you that have NuVet NuJoint DS, do me a favor. Raise your hand. Let me know that you got NuVet NuJoint DS in the comment section. Directly counteracts mercury toxicity at the cellular level, right? Same reason sardines are coming in on layer 4. And we'll talk about that in a moment. Vitamin C is powerful antioxidant that reduces the oxidative stress in heavy metals caused throughout the body. I've spoken to you guys about vitamin C. It's not just stress caused by heavy metals, stress caused by anything. Anytime your body needs to repair anything, it needs vitamin C to get there. Cat's claw and evening primrose oil. Anti-inflammatory support to counter the systemic inflammation that chronic heavy metal exposure triggers. If your dog is exposed to heavy metals, one of the things, and we spoke about the symptoms, you're going to see joint breakdown due to constant inflammation. So if you're over here feeding the cheap kibble and your little Fido's walking around looking easty-westy, you might have cost it, my friend. The foundation is already built into this bottle. I've said that. What we're doing with the next 3 layers, we're going to amplify what NuVet is already doing. In addition, I just want to let you guys know this is not random, right? And every piece actually will connect to the next piece that's coming along. So layer 2, right? What we do is we buy chlorella, and you could buy chlorella in food stores or Amazon, okay? It's a single cell little green algae. That's all it is. You guys ever heard of like spirulina? Something like it. One of the most studied natural chelating agents in nutritional science today. How it works, it binds to heavy metals in the gut before they get absorbed into the bloodstream. So he intercepts the metals from being absorbed into from the gut into the bloodstream, right? Because
it sounds like this product, NuVet and NuJoint, has not only been designed to supplement your dogs with things that they need, but also to protect them from what they're probably eating.
Listen, majority of the people that have heard me talk about NuVet, they come to me with the angle that I've spoken on, which is true, that dietary easty-westy can be corrected with NuVet, as well as other orthopedic issues that are being caused because of the lack of vitamins and things that are not bioavailable, right? The other thing, I've had a lot of people hit me up that have had skin issues with their dogs all of a sudden disappear overnight. And that's because of the combination of all the stuff we're talking about, plus vitamin C, plus anti-inflammatories that we're going to get into here in a moment, with NuJoint DS that actually helps with the skin healing issue and reducing inflammation, right? But the one part that people completely miss is that, and I've spoken on, and I'm speaking on it now, is the positive longevity, positive health effects in your dog, right? You can't tell me, right, that if you're feeding this cheap kibble and you're not countering all this crap that's going into your dog one way or another, that it's not going to wear down their organs in the long run. This is not me saying it. I've just showed you UC Davis, Cornell University, independent labs that do research and study. I mean, you can look into everything I'm talking about. and by all means, check it. So back to this algae. It basically intercepts the metal in the gut and doesn't let it get absorbed into the bloodstream, right? Works on the same mechanism as the blue-green algae already in NuVet, but at a higher and targeted dose. How to use it? You use it on powder form, and you can start with a small pinch over the food and build it up gradually. And like I said, you can get it at health food stores or Amazon. NuVet already has the algae built into the formula, right? So chlorella amplifies the binding power, right? Layer 1 plus layer 2, and you've already got heavy metals being intercepted before they even hit the bloodstream. That's powerful there within itself, right? And that's the interception phase. Layer 3, hold your hat, Mike. It's nothing more, nothing less than an herb that's sitting in your kitchen right now, Mike. I guarantee you got it. Cilantro. Cilantro mobilizes heavy metals that are already stored in tissue. So they get it to get out of the tissue and moves them from where they're hiding into the bloodstream so the body can flush them out. That's what you want to do. And
it's good for their breath.
It's great for their breath. This is why it pairs directly with chlorella. This is why I tell you, I've been doing this for years. You can go back 6 years ago. I was talking to you guys about giving your dogs chlorella with cilantro. I've been doing this. The protocol, cilantro mobilizes, chlorella binds, right, at the gut. And cilantro mobilizes it out of the tissue so your dog could eliminate it. This is the reason.
What kind of rations do you recommend? You know, what kind of portions of those two things together should people be given?
Bro, here's the thing, Mike.
A pinch of each, you know? I mean,
no, chlorella. Well, yeah, chlorella, it comes in a powder, so a little pinch every day is fine. As far as cilantro, look, you know, I'm not going to sit here and lie to you. You know, I like planting stuff, right? So we're running a greenhouse in the yard this year. We're growing all sorts of stuff. We go through what's it called? A stem of cilantro? Is that what it's called? A little, I don't want to call it bushel, but a little stem that you buy at the grocery store. I could go through one of those. I could go through one in a day. My dogs like it that much.
Mm-hmm.
But to answer your question,
a little bundle of it.
Yeah. To answer your question, one cilantro, chopped up. You either are adding it as an ice cube into the water if you're doing the cilantro tea, like I've said, or if you're just feeding it directly to your dog because they love it, that should be more than enough daily. All right. So how do you use it? Fresh, finely chopped, small amounts added to the bowl each meal is preferable. So you might want to do that rather than doing the cilantro tea. Even though the cilantro tea is going to give you an added effect, nothing's going to beat fresh, finely chopped, right? I mean, what if I told you one of the most, you know what I'm saying? One of the most powerful metal absorbents or deep metal detox costs you $1.49 at your grocery store, and that's cilantro, right? So the next one, for those of you that already have NuVet, you're going to find it in your ingredient list there, selenium, right? You're probably wondering or wondered in the past, why the hell is selenium on there? Well, selenium, the other part of the protocol is actually sardines because they're high in selenium. Remember I said we're going to amplify what NuVet's already doing. This is not something new. I've been feeding sardines for how long, Mike?
As long as I can remember, but
right.
definitely a long time. This
is not me just blowing smoke. First of all, I said earlier, sardines, let me rewind. I said long-lived fish are the ones that accumulate mercury over time in the ocean. Sardines, Mike, are short-lived fish with the lowest mercury load of any fish on the market. Yep. Period.
They're good for us too.
Unless you're buying minnows from freshwater at the market, and then you could probably beat sardines there. Talking about saltwater fish. How it works, omega-3s reduce inflammation. I've spoken on that at length, that heavy metal stress causes throughout the body. Sardines contain selenium, which at the biological level, right, directly counteracts mercury toxicity. So selenium, right, at the biological level directly counteracts mercury. The same selenium that's already in NuVet Plus, sardines reinforce that load, right? 1 can packed in water 2 to 3 times per week on top of their bowl. Make sure it doesn't have oil in it, just water, guys. And if you could get no added sodium or sodium free, that's definitely the best. Now, I want you to notice what's happening here, Mike. NuVet already has some in the formula, right? Sardines reinforce that selenium load at the food level. This isn't me throwing random ingredients at you or at the problem, better yet. Every layer is working with the layer before it, right? And that's what the system looks like. So we had cilantro, right? Previously, we had cilantro, we had chlorella, right? We have blue-green algae, right? This stuff is binding in the intestine, not letting it get to the bloodstream, right? My bad. Cilantro makes it come out of the tissue so the body could, either urinate, get it out of the body. And then in addition, you have selenium, which counteracts mercury directly. But you got to make sure it's the right fish. You can't go out there feeding your dog shark, man.
I wonder if it's a coincidence that, coastal countries that border the ocean use cilantro, like Mediterranean and like in South America, they use cilantro a lot. And I wonder if that's because they eat more fish in those regions.
I think it's more of a cultural thing more than anything, to be honest with you. Because I could tell you in South America, there's going to be some countries that are going to eat more cilantro than others. It's just more of, I want to say in that case, it was probably more coincidence than anything else.
Yeah. It works.
Now, this one, Mike, is going to sideswipe a lot of people. It's going to sideswipe you. And because I get a bunch of people hitting me up, oh, I ordered NuVet, but I didn't get NuJoint because my dog is fine. Okay. More power to you. People don't connect NuJoint DS to heavy metals, and they absolutely should. And I'm going to tell you why. This is the one that ties the whole system together. You're probably saying, how does glucosamine do that? Well, it's not glucosamine, smarty pants. MSM, which is methyl sulfonomethane, biologically active sulfur compound. Sulfur is what your dog's body uses to produce glutathione. I try to say it fast and it comes out wrong. Glutathione. There you go. Glutathione, the master internal detox molecule. Without adequate sulfur intake, the body's own detox engine runs at a fraction of its capacity. NuJoint feeds that engine. So it maximizes the possibility of making the molecule that is the master internal detox inside of dogs. So here we go. Glucosamine and chondroitin, they're going to protect the joint cartilage from the chronic inflammation that heavy metal accumulation causes over time. I think we spoke on that. Cadmium and lead both drive systemic inflammation. This is your joint armor, right? Vitamin C, you're going to get collagen synthesis plus additional antioxidants coverage on top of that. NuVet is already doing it, right? So while NuVet is working on the binding and the clearing, NuJoint DS is giving your dog's body the raw material to run its own internal detox system, which is probably one of the if not the most important part in the whole thing. That's the glutathione pathway. Look, I said it right that time. That's the master molecule. NuJoint feeds it. This is a complete system. 5 layers, and the 2 anchors are already in a bottle that you can order today. You already know that. Right up here, NuVet.com/513237. Order them both together. And if you do auto ship, you're going to get an additional 15% off. Not to mention, If you do that, every 3 months, you're getting a free consult one-on-one with me. So if you're having a dog that's having skin issues, all of a sudden aggressive issues, seizures, tremors, whatever the case may be, I'm going to tell you right off the bat what I think. Go to the vet, ask for a toxicology report, a heavy metals, study or report. This way we can see where your dog's heavy metals are at. Let me run it back one more time for the VOD. You know who VOD is, Mike?
No.
View on Demand Crew, right? Because
okay.
This live gets watched more video on demand than it does at the live, which is fine. I get it. And here's another little tidbit I'm going to throw out there for y'all that are watching. I'm strongly considering, Mike. In fact, I'm 99.9% sure that we're going to be going back to Sundays, right? For those of you that would prefer for us to go live on Sundays because you're working on Mondays or whatever, drop a comment below, say Sunday. I just want to get an idea how many of you are favoring that as well. So, NuVet binds. So these are the 5 layers. NuVet binds and protects. It's already got the algae, right? The methionine, the selenium built in already. Chlorella, which is the one thing I'm telling you you would have to get. That's going to help the binding in the gut. Cilantro mobilizes what's already stored in the tissue. Sardines, they're going to reinforce the selenium, which is going to basically go fight mercury immediately. And it also brings omega-3 for anti-inflammatory support. NuJoint DS powers the glutathione engine, your dog's own internal detox system. That's the QVN heavy metal defense stack. I've been doing it for over 6 years. When I sat down and thought about this topic, it was like, oh yeah, I'm remembering this. This is what we were talking about 6 years ago on the heavy metals and whatnot. Because the thing is, once you start doing this the way that we're doing it, you do it and then you keep repeating it, but then you forget about it because you're pretty much, it's
Out of sight, out of
there. You're
mind.
thinking about joints. You're thinking about preventing DCM, all these other things. Because in reality, when you're feeding kibble, your dog's getting attacked from so many angles. To not have a supplement like NuVet NuJoint DS is completely ludicrous. I do want to say this though. If you're not on NuVet NuJoint DS at this time, I want to be clear. I'm not pushing NuVet NuJoint DS because of a commission check. All right. A lot of you are probably looking at me like, oh yeah, really? No, I'm not. I'm pushing it because I just showed you that the chelating amino acids, right? The algae, the selenium are already in the bottle. If you've tried everything and you can't get rid of the yeast, I strongly suggest that you go get a blood sample, get your blood tested at the vet for heavy metals, and put your dog on NuVet NuJoint DS and follow this particular protocol. It was built for this, right? So just know NuVet is not available in stores. You have to order it directly. You can go to nuvet.com/513237. I also left a code down below in the description. I strongly suggest you start with NuVet Plus for the detox, for the foundation of the detox, add NuJoint DS for the glutathione engine and the joint protection. Run it as a full stack. That's all I got for you tonight.
Man,
Money Mizdyke, man, do you have any questions? I got a bunch of comments over here.
Yeah, let's go through some of them.
I
I was just sitting here thinking of how scary it is. This is just one avenue of heavy metals that we've gone over tonight with Kibble.
Yeah.
There's several that we could just really do like we did tonight on the heavy metals, where when you put it all together, it's pretty frightening. And it, you think about it, they might make it a little more colorful and a little more presentable for us, but what we're offered at the grocery store is not much better.
Yeah.
If it's on the shelf, it's not much better than this, even for us. So it's pretty scary.
Insteroth is asking, does chlorella help to remove copper? And the answer is yes. I'm not sure if you're asking about copper because of the copper in the food or if it's copper piping where you live at. But either way, yes, chlorella just helps remove heavy metals in general. Let me see here. Activated charcoal, says Shade Tree. All right, Echo,
I'll
you're
tell y'all
probably
something
right.
I learned about activated charcoal.
Mm-hmm.
It's something you really want to be careful using. If you think your dog's taking something and you're worried about, it being poisoned or anything like that, and you want to give it activated charcoal, and I learned this the hard way. Once
That's
you've
right.
done that at your own free will, what the vet can do for you is limited. So when it goes downhill from there, and you take it to the vet and say, look, well, we gave it activated charcoal first. That's all we've done, and they're doing this because now
Right.
that the cheaper option for you, the medication that they can give you, will also be absorbed by the charcoal. And so, it's IV only, and then that bumps the price up, and all that. So you've gotten in your own way and didn't even know it. So if there's ever a case you think you might need to use activated charcoal, you need to consult a licensed vet first and make sure, preferably one that you trust and have experience with, and make sure that that's what you need to be doing.
Yeah. Buddha Call is saying Sunday Bully Live sounds like a winner. I'll be there. Good stuff. Echo is echoing. Yeah, just do Sunday. I really had a free time for that. Yeah. All right, man. Sounds good. Dracula, this analyzer also works with products from the UK or the EU. It does, as long as the picture that you're taking is readable. But keep in mind, the studies will be from universities and research labs in the United States. But yes, it could work with any country, not necessarily just the UK. Is NuVet available for Canada yet? If not, why? Echo Bullies. Listen, the last I was told is that yes, it is. They started back up again. So do yourself a favor, go to nuvet.com /513-237. If for whatever reason they can't send it to you, the last I ever heard as to why had something to do with the tariffs or the embargo. So I'll just leave it at that. Hector, is chlorella or carella? No, chlorella. Chlorella, chlorophyll. That's where we're headed. Nickelback sucks. Okay. Sunday's actually a great time. Everybody should be home. Yep. What I might do, guys, is so I could be fair and make it a transition. I might go live this next Sunday and still go live on Monday. All right. Just to kind of transition people over. Keep in mind, we started out as Sunday Bully. Well, actually, we started out every night, but then we switched to Sunday Bully Live for about good 4.5 years, right? And then I decided, you know what, we're going to move it to Mondays, but now we're going to go back to Sundays. And the time that we have vision is the same that we had before, which was Sundays at 10 a.m., right? So that's all I got for you, man. Money Mizike, anything you want to add, man?
No, man, we covered a lot tonight. It's a lot to digest, a lot to think about, no pun intended. Um, you know, this is a serious thing. And like you said, the bowl, the meal is what gets overlooked. But you have to think there's nothing more consistently given to a dog than what we feed them. And
The
so
water
if you're
and
having
what's in the bowl.
problems,
Yeah.
especially if they've been health tested and they're cleared and you're still having issues, it's almost certainly dietary or water, like you said.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of people overlook the water. If you haven't seen most people overlook the water video, I strongly suggest you check it out so you can see how we make teas with chamomile, cilantro, and others. We make them into ice cubes. We throw it into our dog's water. It's not too much where it's repugnant for them not to want to eat, but it's just enough for them to get the good stuff in them. Hey, Money Mizike, start it up, man.
Hey, Money Mike, man. Creek Bank Kennel, Arkansas, baby. Co-host with the most. We'll be catching y'all on the next one.
Hey, I know this wasn't the sexiest of topics. I get it, but it's information that you need to learn and you need to know, because once you become an educated consumer, you no longer need your vet as much as you think you do. It's been Raul from the Q. I'll be catching you.
We are going for a whole hour, straight dog talk, and the song. Jump on in and speculate. Show up on time, don't be weak and late. We are community, so don't hesitate.